Hey everyone, and welcome to this year's guide on high alching for profit. Today we're going to be focusing on the pay-to-play items, and I'll do another video on the free-to-play items. First thing is, let's check the price of the nature rune. It is sitting at 98 GP per, so what we're going to do is we're going to average that out to 100 GP, just to make it a nice even number. But let's get into it. Alright, so the first items we are going to talk about are the high quantity items that have a good profit margin. These items are going to include the magic longbow, all the battle staffs of air, fire, earth, and water. These items have a buy limit of 18,000 every 4 hours, and the magic longbows are traded 2.1 million times a day. Air battle staffs are 1 million times a day, and the other elemental ones are just around 150 to 250,000 times a day. Now the battle staffs are pretty expensive, but they do alch for 9,300 each. And you can usually pick them up anywhere from 9k to 9,100 depending on the fluctuation of them. I would stick with the air battle staffs, and this is mainly because they are constantly in the game because everyone is crafting, and you can usually get a good amount of them relatively cheap. As you see here, we get them for 9,040. Alright, so magic longbows, they alch for 1536, which means you should get around 100 GP per alch. And the air battle staffs, they alch for 9,300, so you're making roughly around 150 GP per alch. Next couple of items I wanted to go over that have a high quantity and high buy limit are going to be some bolts. And these are the Onyx Bolts E and the Dragonstone Bolts E. Both have a buy limit of 11,000 every 4 hours and have a very high trade volume limit. Onyx Bolts are traded 700,000 times a day, and Dragonstone Bolts are traded 2.3 million times a day. Onyx Bolts alch for 9k each, and Dragonstone Bolts alch for 637 each. And with the current buy prices for these items, you're going to be making roughly around 150 to 170 GP each on the Onyx Bolts, and roughly around 70 to 100 GP on the Dragonstone Bolts. The next items I want to talk about are items that are cheaper. So if you don't have a ton of money, this would be the perfect items for you. These are usually under 500 GP each. We'll start with the rune arrows, rune bolts, and the atlatl darts. And these items have a good high alch value for the cost. Rune arrows alch for 240 GP, rune bolts alch for 180 GP, and the darts alch for 294 GP. These items will fluctuate in price quite often, but currently, with the cost of rune arrows being at 61 GP each, you're going to be making roughly around 80 GP per alch on rune arrows. Rune bolts, you'll be making roughly around 30 to 40 GP per alch, depending on what you can get the price for. Currently they're sitting at 51 GP, and the darts, they alch for 294 GP each. So currently you're only making roughly around 15 GP per alch on these ones. Another item on this list would be the U longbows. They are a little more expensive. They're roughly around 550 to 600 GP, but they are still really affordable. And with the cost of nature runes being only 100 GP, you're still making roughly around 150 to 160 GP per alch on these items. So this would be a good item if you didn't have a lot of money to start with and you were looking to make profit. Alright, so the next items we're going to talk about are going to be some of the higher margin items. These items may be a little more expensive and may not have as high of a buy limit, but it will make you a good amount of money. And the first set of items I want to talk about are going to be the d'hide bodies. Blue d'hide has a buy limit of 125, and black and red have a buy limit of 70. You can pick up blue d'hides for around 5,200, and they alch for 5616. Black d'hides you can pick up for 7550, and they alch for 8,088. And the red d'hides you can pick up for 6244, and they high alch for 6738. Now these fluctuate in price because of how many people do crafting, so give or take 50 to 100 GP plus or minus these prices, and you should be able to buy them up. Another expensive item, but that will make you a ton of profit per, is going to be the dragon items. And these would consist of the halley, the mace, the longsword, the plate legs, the plate skirts, and the dagger. The D-halley you currently can buy anywhere from 148.5 to 149.5, and it alchs for 150. So you're going to be making bare minimum 400 GP per alch on this one. The D mace alchs for 30k, and you can usually pick it up anywhere from 29 to 29.5. The D long, which alchs for 60k, you can pick up for around 59.5. The legs and the skirt both alch for 162, and currently they're about 500 GP to 1000 GP below alch price. And finally, a cheaper one is going to be the dagger, and this alchs for 18k, but you can buy it for around 17.5. And then I wanted to touch on some random items. These items fluctuate a lot. They have good buy limits, but maybe not the best margins. And if you don't have a ton of money, these items can they can make you an extra few GP here and there. And these are going to be the abyssal bracelets and the javelin heads. The abyssal bracelets fluctuate anywhere between 2,250 to 2,400, and they alch for 25.20. So depending on what price you can get, it's going to be around 100 to 300 GP per alch. The dragon javelin heads currently buy for 989, and they have a high alch value of 1170. The rune javelin heads currently buy for 658 and have a high alch value of 810. And the amethyst javelin heads buy for 724 and have a high alch value of 912. These items get traded a ton a day, and they also have a buy limit of 10,000, so you shouldn't have any issues buying them up. Alright, so in the end, here are the list of items that we went over. Here is the price that each item costs, and here is the alch price per item. So when we take the difference here, there is the net profit you would make per alch on each item. This is the buy limit every 4 hours, so basically it resets every 4 hours. And here is the total profit per hour, which is equivalent to roughly around 1,200 alchs an hour if you can do it. And as you can see, the air battle staffs take the cake with 180,000 an hour, along with the Onyx Bolts E. However, both of these items are extremely expensive, so if money is an issue, you can always go for something cheaper like the magic longbows. So if you combine all the lower buy limit items, you would have 685 alchs, which is 255k for the hour, but that does not include other items that you could purchase for the remainder time. Me personally, I would go for these 5 items just because you can rotate between all 5 of them. Sometimes items may be lower, sometimes they may be higher, but if for some reason they're getting too high, you can alternate between them. They have a high buy limit, and they're constantly in the game. So those are the items I wanted to go over with. Hopefully you can make some good GP on them. I'm also going to include a Discord where you can buy certain items in mass, and these items are both free to play and paid to play items. If you have a ton of GP and you just want to start alching, these are the best ways to get some items to make profit. Just want to say thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next episode. Thank you. Have a good day.